Okay.
How many windows do you have open?
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Your mic's still on.
I guess I'll just keep messing with it. Okay. Thing audio issues. Okay, it's gonna echo. Probably gonna keep echoing. Okay.
That's not gonna work. It's complicated.
Is that better? Is that better? Is that working? It's driving me nuts.
Did I get rid of it? So no echo?
Got it figured out. Oh, tech genius.
Yeah, you had 3 windows open. First thing I said.
I thought I closed them out. Oh well. Yeah. The drinks are over there. No. Okay. Y'all can hear me now. Yeah, he has the gift, all right. The golden touch. Yes, you do. Follow directions way better than I ever did. So, y'all, gather around, kiddos. We are going to talk about the Villisca Axe Murders. Okay. The Villisca Axe Murders happened in Villisca, Iowa. Okay. And this house is actually on the National Registry right now, like the National Historical Registry. You can take daytime tours there. I think it's $10, $10 or $15 to go through this place. You can do overnights there, book. It's like a year and a half in advance to do a, hey Mo, it's a year and a half in advance to book an overnight stay at the Villisca Axe Murder House. And it is located in Montgomery County, Iowa. It is probably maybe 300 people now? 1,000 people there now? But at the time of the murders, the town was like 2,500 population, which was pretty booming for 1912. They had several businesses. Railroad was always going through there. The armory for the state was there, where they kept the weaponry for National Guard and stuff like that. So they had a lot going on at that time. So it happened, I think, November 9th and 10th of 19, or not November, July, or June, I'm sorry, of 1912. And it replaced the headlines of the Titanic sinking across national headlines. It made national headlines. And what happened is 8 people were murdered overnight in a home. Just like whether it be a home invasion or whatever. And they were all axed to death with an axe that actually came from their barn or outside their house in a tree stump. Oh, it's in Montgomery County, Iowa. And that is located towards the western portion of Iowa, probably about maybe 80 miles, 90 miles from Omaha, Nebraska. Almost a straight shot over. Oh, you use 1,000. Yeah, me too. Now, it happened on a Sunday night, Monday morning. because they had church services going on, and they had after church services, there was a annual Children's Day services, is what they called it, and it was for the Sunday school students and such. Anyway, uh, the victims in the murder, uh, the mother Sarah Moore actually was co-founder of this and of this annual Children's Day. And anyway, they were at this Children's Day services all Sunday until 9:30 p.m. And at that time, there was uh, a dispute with the city over how much they're going to pay for the electricity and everything for the street lights and street lamps. So there was no service to the street lamps, so all the streets were dark. So the family, consisting of Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, their son Herman, who was 11, their daughter Catherine, who was 10, Boyd, who was 7, and Paul, who was 5. They were heading home, and the Stillinger sisters were also at these services. Were spending the night in town with their grandmother. Now they were staying with her while her parents had a farm outside of town, but they were somewhere else out of town, and she was staying with the grandparents or the grandmother, and called the house and got her sister on the phone. Lena did, the older sister, and said, "Hey, can we spend the night with the Moores?" And because it's closer, it was only 3 blocks from the church, and grandma lived across town, and they didn't want to walk in the dark. The 2 little girls didn't, so they got permission to stay overnight with the Moores. And Lena Stillinger was 12, and her little sister Ina was 8. So they walk home and they go to bed, and they're staying at the Moores in the guest bedroom downstairs. Now, when the murders occurred, obviously, they were in the downstairs bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms at the top of the stairs on the second floor, which was the parents' bedroom. And you had to go through there in order to access the attic or the back bedroom, which the 4 children were staying in. Okay. Well, nobody noticed anything till the following morning about 6:30, 7:30. The neighbor next door, an older lady, came over because she didn't see them hanging their laundry or doing any of the daily chores that they would be up doing, like feeding the chickens, because they had chickens. They had a barn right there too, with some livestock and uh, the horses and stuff, and they hadn't been fed. So the neighbor went over, started knocking on the door and trying to look in the windows, and she couldn't see anything because the windows were all covered. So she went and called Josiah Moore's brother, Ross Moore, and told him, "Hey, your brother's not up and around. The whole family's not up and around. What's going on? Can you come over and check on them? Because they're not doing their usual chores outside. It's been a couple hours." So Ross Moore comes over with his key, opens the door, walks into the house, goes as far as the downstairs bedroom, and sees 2 bodies covered up with sheets. Runs back out and said, "Hey, there's 2 dead people in there. Run over and call the sheriff." You know. So the neighbor ran over and called the sheriff, and then he called Ed, who was a person that worked for the Moores. He actually worked. They had like a mercantile or hardware store there, and they also sold John Deere products. in their store. Mr. Moore did. So Ed came over and he said, "Hey, Ed, I saw 2 bodies on the floor downstairs. You want to check out the rest of the house because I just don't have the stomach for it or whatever." And he ran up and he came back out and he said, "There's bodies in every room covered up." So they waited for the sheriff and waited for the sheriff, and he also said he found an axe laying against the south wall of the bedroom that had like the handle cleaned, but the blade on it wasn't clean, so there was still blood on the blade. And it was like somebody wiped the prints off or something. And that wasn't that big of a deal back then. They had just started doing fingerprinting, but the crime scene, as described by Dr. Cooper, the physician who was called to the scene, he said drawers were rifled through. All the mirrors and windows were covered with random linens and clothing. The axe was located on the south wall of the downstairs bedroom, of course. There was a 4-pound slab of bacon also located next to the axe, wrapped up in cloth. On the kitchen table, there was a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water, like they had rinsed their hands off. When they were looking up at the ceilings and everything and looking at spatter and stuff, they found gouge marks from the axe in the ceiling. Several of them. They found a kerosene lamp at the foot of the downstairs bedroom, guest bedroom. And I believe at one point they said a chair post there. And Lena, the older of the 2 girls, was pulled across the bed. Like her arms were splayed above. And she had a bloody handprint on her inner thigh. And her underwear had been pulled down and removed or something, but she hadn't been interfered with in any way. Also, in the parents' room, there was a kerosene lamp at the foot of that bed, too. They also found in the parents' bedroom where there was a shoe that had been tipped over and had blood poured out of it and under it. So there was speculation that the shoe was there long enough, upright, to collect blood, and then the killer had returned to it and knocked it over after it filled. Like he went up and killed them first and killed the girls' guests at the bottom of the stairs last. Maybe heard them shuffling around, hadn't expected them to be there or whatever. All the doors when they had arrived and windows were all locked shut tight from the inside. So they were trying to figure out, did they have a key or what? Because it was all locked up. Also, in the guest bedroom downstairs, where the Stillinger sisters were found, in the closet there was cotton batting that you use for like quilting, stuff like that. There was a whole bunch of that was rolled up. Was in that. That's all that was in that closet, and it was pushed down like somebody had been sitting in it or sitting on it. And upstairs in the attic, they found a chair and 2 cigarette butts, like somebody had been laying in wait. And that is the crime scene. Now there's on to the suspects. It's a possibility, Mo. There's always a possibility. I mean, you have a house full of people. I mean, I always speculated that it was more than one person. Because, I mean, come on, cigarette butts in the attic. And where the attic is located is actually through a closet access in the master bedroom at the top of the stairs. So you actually have to go through that closet to get to that attic and sit there and wait for these people to come home. And who knows if there was a second one sitting in the closet downstairs. Also, with the axe coming from the barn, they could have been sitting in the barn too. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be hard to subdue. And I mean, the fact that they went upstairs and killed it, I mean, had time to kill everybody upstairs. You know, that's just, it's all weird. There's, over the years, they had several suspects, one of them being Reverend Kelly. And this is one everybody who does anything on this jumps on right away and says, it's got to be this guy. You know, all these ghost hunter shows, everything else, because the guy actually, well, I'll get into what he did. 5:19 a.m. he was seen boarding, catching the train in town. Well, there's several people that caught the train that morning. Just saying. And supposedly he had said something about 8 souls in Villisca being gone. But that could be rumor too, you know, because it's been 100 years. What makes him a suspect is he attended the church services with everybody the night before. 2 weeks after the murder, he came back to town and posed as a detective to tour the scene. No, they didn't have toxicology back then. But it looked like they came home and went straight to bed. What it almost looks like is they did their business, stopped to fix some food. Yes, when they were murdered with the blunt side of the axe. Like bludgeoned.
So it wouldn't have been loud.
It wouldn't have been loud. It would have. And they said each one of them bashed their skulls in basically with the blunt side of the axe. It would have been quick. And I think they did it several times. They said anywhere from 20 to 30 per victim. That's, you know. The only one who had marks of the sharp side of the blade was Sarah, the mother. She was the only one that got the sharp side of the blade. But the axe, yeah.
That's not true. She's the one that showed defensive wounds.
Oh, yeah. She showed
chopped through her hands.
Chopped through her hands. She's the only one who woke up in the process, they believe. So they probably caught her before she could scream.
I'll just run your life.
Yeah, why don't you? Yes, they used it as a bludgeoning tool. And then instead of the sharp end, but nobody had defensive wounds except for her and Lena. Lena had some on
Had
her.
one on her hand or something.
She had cut marks on her arms. So they believe she woke up during it or was hiding. That she may, because that's part of the speculation, is one of the Stillinger girls woke up during it and went and hid in that closet in that batting. And was hiding and got dragged out of the closet, killed, and posed back on the bed. Back to Reverend Kelly. He posed as a detective to tour the murder scene. They thought he was creepy because he placed classified ads all over, where he wanted to hire a secretary to do the typing and everything in the nude. He had a mental breakdown as a teenager. He would take late night walks. Yeah, there was rumors about him being a peeping Tom. And years after the actual murder, I think 4 or 5 years after, he went into a mental hospital and was classified as a paranoid schizophrenic. So in 1917, 5 years after, they tried him for the murder of Lena Stillinger, nobody else, because while he was in the mental hospital, they talked to him and they pulled him in. But here's the thing, he confessed after they had him in jail for 90 days or 3 months, the whole summer of 1912 or 1917, 5 years after, just constantly interviewing him. So, of course, eventually he's going to confess. Then when it went to court, he recanted, and they acquitted him 11-1 for acquittal. Then they retried him, and pretty much the same outcome. So they gave up on him because there was no way of really proving it. Yes, he's the one that went to church with them that day, but he also went to many other churches. He was like a youth minister that traveled. So he traveled around Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, and I think Nebraska. And that's just him. But he'd never had a penchant for violence other than that. Yeah, okay. You'd think he'd kill a lot more people than just that if he was the one. Hold on a sec. And that was the good Reverend Kelly. Second. Well, you know what? Like I said, there were several people boarded that train that morning. Several. Because we'll get into that one. Because there was a farmhand that worked outside of town. And his name was, I can't remember his first name, Mueller, though. Was it Frank or Arthur Mueller? Something like that. Anyway, This Mueller was an immigrant from Germany that they believe did a string of axe murders back in the day. And he happened to be working at a farmhouse right outside of town at the time of these murders. And disappeared the morning of, took the same train, and was seen he was seen walking to the train depot that morning at like 5 something a.m. to catch the same train that Reverend Kelly caught. And they were able to track in the 20s and in the teens, put this guy in a lot of towns. So they believe he was a serial killer. That could possibly be him, because he was in town at that time. And he had been seen in a boarding house too in town. And that would be Mueller, who is probably one of the most likely candidates. Another one was Frank Jones. Now, Frank Jones was a senator, okay? And he was not in town at the time. Let's clarify that. But there is speculation that he hired someone to do it. Because Jones was a prominent business owner in town, and he had the same type of business, like a general store, mercantile, and also sold John Deere products. And Josiah Moore, the father, used to be his employee for years, and then he worked his way up to partner, and then he took a bunch of the accounts, with farmers and stuff, and left Frank Jones high and dry, opened up his own store across, down the street or across the street. There was also, so he was his biggest competitor as far as business competitor. On top of that, there were rumors that Josiah Moore was actually having an affair with Frank Jones' daughter-in-law that was married to his son. So there could be a connection there, they believe. And the rumor was that he hired William Mansfield. Now, William Mansfield, later on, it turned out to be a serial killer. And he also, when he did his killings, covered windows and mirrors and used an axe. And he was seen boarding the same train after the murders by a prominent, like another business owner, a restaurant owner in town, had seen William Mansfield boarding a train that morning. So we have 3 suspects, all 3 of them boarding the same train that morning, westbound, heading towards Omaha. Okay. Now in May, yeah, right? 2 serial killers in the same town. That's just creepy. In May 1913, a federal officer that was investigating these announced that he believed a man named Henry Moore was the perpetrator of the Villisca murders. Okay? Because months after the Villisca murders, Henry Moore was found guilty of murdering his mother and grandmother with an axe in Missouri. Okay? And he also wiped the handle of the axe. But I believe when they dug into Henry Moore, no relation, they found that he was in jail somewhere else at the time of the Villisca murders. So they ruled him out eventually. But the others, there was no placement for them. And that pretty much gets us where we need to be before we get into the paranormal side of it. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah, right. Well, what are the odds of all these crazies being on the same train? They're on the crazy train for sure. Yeah, and that William Mansfield, they said he also wore gloves when he killed people at that point because they had his prints in the system at a correctional facility. So he had the habit of wiping the handles off too. Well, the town was population 2,500 back then. Currently, it's like half that now. But back then, it was 2,500 people, which would be a pretty bustling town for like 1912, you know? Yeah. Now, is it a possibility? Yeah, there's a possibility that it could have been two of them. Who knows? Mm-mm. And I will get Mr. G on to talk the paranormal side of it. Y'all ready for that?
We should talk a little bit about the paranormal before I get on.
Now, to this day, they have, like I said, they have tours of the house. They have had several paranormal groups in there. Um, there's people that, after the Moors passed or whatever, it was in private ownership from different owners over the years. And not everybody had paranormal experiences during that time. There's people that lived there that didn't have any issues with haunting or anything. And then there's some that say they do. But I think it was a residence up until a private residence up until like the 80s, maybe early 90s, before they just closed it down and decided to make it a museum in the last 25 years, maybe. I do know that there were people, it was a rental house for like 20 years. Somebody owned it and rented it out to different people. Now it seems like there's been several different people go through there. Ghost Hunters has been through there. Ghost Adventurers has been through there. Colby and What's His Face have been through there. um, who knows? Oh my gosh, probably went through there. Um, several people have went through. Almost every paranormal group you can think of that has a TV show has been through there. Yeah, good question, Mo. Good question. It could be that when it sat empty, it had more activity. I do know that they renovated it over the years, and then in the last 20 years, they went in and they took out all the renovations, all modern stuff, and brought it back to what it originally, as close to the original as possible. Like time period stuff. Like I think they have a piano in there, and hey Aussie, how you doing, sweetheart?
Now you gotta start all over.
Now I gotta start all over to catch Aussie up. Axe Murders. 2 in 1 bedroom downstairs, 2 in the upstairs master bedroom, and 4 in the back bedroom. All the bodies covered with, the faces of the bodies covered with sheets. All the reflective glass in the house was covered. All the mirrors were covered. All done with an axe from on property. Hey, how's it going, organic ice cream?
You gotta make my dinner.
Right? Who doesn't? Any other questions? We went over the suspects. We went over the crime scene. Maybe I'll go over the crime scene again. The crime scene that they found. The drawers were all rifled through. They believed to pull clothing and linen out, to cover the windows and the glass and all the mirrors. An axe was located on the south wall of the downstairs bedroom. A 4-pound slab of bacon was also located next to the axe, wrapped in cloths. On the kitchen table was a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water, like they washed up in it. Gouge marks in the ceilings where the blade of the axe kept getting stuck. A kerosene lamp found at the foot of the master bedroom bed where the mother and father, Josiah and Sarah, slept. A kerosene lamp was also found at the foot of the downstairs guest bed where the 2 little girls, Ina and Lena Stillinger, were. Lena had her nightgown pushed up and a bloody handprint on her thigh and defensive wounds on her arm, cuts on her arm, or scratches. Oh, one thing I had forgot to say before, they also found a broken piece of a watch chain there in the bed. Like during a struggle, it got broken. That changes everything. That's it. Shoe upstairs next to the bed was tipped over and under it was blood pooled and inside of it, which led them to believe that the shoe was there and they had been beaten and murdered then. He then the killer went downstairs and then returned to the scene later on where it was filled and tipped the shoe over, knocked it over. All the doors were locked from the inside, possibly a key when leaving, and all the windows were locked when they arrived at the scene. In the guest bedroom, in the closet, there was cotton batting from where somebody had been hiding or sitting. It had been pushed down, and in the attic next through the bedroom, a master bedroom closet access, there was a chair and two cigarette butts put out on the floor, like somebody had been sitting there for a while. We have the Reverend Kelly, the crazy preacher. We, we, we have the senator, maybe hiring somebody, and a couple of crazy lunatics that were running amok. 3 of them caught on the train, or, bound on a westbound train. Yeah, it was before a lot of modern day forensics. Mind you, that fingerprinting had just came to the forefront about 1910, 1911, and this was 1912, but it wasn't in the smaller communities yet. You would find that in places like New York or LA or Chicago, and the biggest city close to Villisca would be it'd be in between Des Moines and Omaha. Des Moines, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska would be the next places, but I don't think that they would have quite had fingerprinting down yet. Yeah, the 4-pound slab of bacon. Now, people have had a lot of thoughts, or they thought that the killer could have used it for his gratification. That was pretty much the thinking of them at that time, because with that bacon being down there in that bedroom, the girl being pulled off the bed, or not off the bed, but pulled down towards the end, and having no underwear, and a chair being at the end of the bed that possibly used the bacon to, I don't know, fulfill his urges without interfering with the girl. But that was just one of their theories throughout the years. It's kind of gross, but yeah, right? Who kills kids unless they're crazy anyway?
No.
And then the bacon was right next to the axe. And I was like, was he using the bacon? And what kind of what kind of food did he fix himself? like I said, over the years, they have a lot of investigators come in and out of that house. They've even had people, there's a basement in it now that they didn't have at the time of the murders. There was no basement. They dug out under it after the fact. So when paranormal teams go in there, oh, we're going into the basement of the Villisca Axe murder house. Well, there was no basement when they originally were killed in the house. There was no basement. So that was dug out later.
You're all right. Come
on. The building next to the Villisca Axe Murder House is actually the old farm, the old barn that they converted into a house later on over the years, and now it's like the gift shop and something else. I think the caretaker lives there.
What matter? What matter? We want to take our spot. That bitch.
Okie dokie. Now I'm going to have Mr. G take over because he does more of the walkthrough on the paranormal side.
Hopefully I unmuted everything. Why the fuck does she got like 10 windows open? My God. So we all kind of understand what the theory is as far as who did what. The killer or killers were left-handed, or at least one of them was, if there was more than one. They were bludgeoned first, and then the killer went back and used the axe multiple times on all individuals. The pound of bacon, or whatever it was, a 2 to 4 pounds of bacon. Okay. What's kind of unique about Villisca is that for a long time, nobody commented, I guess is the term, on having any paranormal experiences there. Because a lot of things that are there are so subtle. They could be attributed to normal house noises. There's creaks and groans and odd sounds that a house of that age would have. What is not, shall we say, quote unquote normal, is the amount of EVPs that are caught. As Ginger said, when they remodeled the house in the 80s, 90s, the house has no power. There's no electricity in it. But they get electrical readings throughout the house, mostly in the areas where the murders took place, the downstairs bedroom and the upstairs. But the EVPs are amazing. There's kids, a lot of kids heard that don't go, want to play. There she went, there he went, here he comes. For those of you who have heard me explain the different types of hauntings, there's a residual and an active, meaning it's so-called intelligent. Villisca is a truly intelligent / active haunting. They respond very well to input from investigators, whether it be through music boxes, electronic field detectors, EMF detectors, toys. One of the popular things to do is to take a rubber ball. I believe John still has balls there in the house that you can move around and they'll move on their own. There's the closet door where they suppose the or one of the killers hid with a cigarette butt. That's in the back of the closet to get to the attic. That closet door will open. In the closet, they hear noises coming from inside the closet or inside the closet while you're there, inside the closet. Ginger's rocking out over here.
My phone is.
One of my favorites, and it's an obscure. I'm trying to think of the person who did it. It was a group that went into the Villisca house a number of years ago. Might even been 4 or 5 years ago, and got a response. And they got the answer. This is Ina, and it sounded just like a little girl would. The question was along the lines, who are we talking to? Who are we talking to? Who is this? And they finally got the response, this is Ina. And it, their digital recorders aren't what picked it up. It came on the camera's audio, and they heard it in the room. They've gotten in the kids' bedroom, they've gotten a thud above their heads, which, if someone's swinging an axe, where would you get a thud? There is a rumor about the basement, and it was dug after, as part of a remodeling project, I believe in the 50s and 60s, to put a furnace in. So the basement, as Ginger said, was not there. But one of the big things going around for quite a while was that there was a satanic cult that owned the house, and they'd summon whatever. Um, no, um, that's not in Villisca. That is a house that happened in, and we'll talk about it probably in the near future. That actually happened in a house. Uh, to kind of get off the subject of this a little bit, the house was rented by an individual who did try to summon stuff. Um, but like I said, this is one of the. It's been a good thing because it's a historic town slash home in Iowa, and the people that own it have owned it for the last few groups have really taken care of it. Everything in there is period correct. It's not the same furniture and furnishings that was in there. But it's very, very close. I believe that the beds, one or two of the beds, is the actual bed frame that was in the house. But again, there's this is probably, to my knowledge, one of the best places to go and learn about so-called hauntings, because there is no power. If you're the type of people that like to use all the electronic devices, the EMFs, the digital recorders, uh, so on and so forth, this house is perfect because there is no power within like 50 yards of the house. So you're not going to pick up on that stuff. I am not knocking anybody who uses that stuff. I actually own several recorders. We have a not infrared, a night vision camera for stuff. And we've done stuff here in our own home. That's been fun. But yeah, this is the place that I want to go, and I want to take people and just kind of watch it, learn, and let them learn what a haunting, quote unquote, is. And yes, I firmly believe that the Villisca house is haunted. It has activity. There's no doubt. One of the things that happened there is that a person who, if you're going back that way, grab me a Coke. Who later on, it was come out that he had mental issues. Stabbed himself in the chest with a hunting knife. For a long time, that was folklore. Oh, it didn't happen. Well, the gentleman who owns the house now, yeah, that actually happened. He said that the demons in the house, he saw a shadow figure that made him do it. I don't know about all that, but they use EM pumps a lot because there is no power for the spirits to drain from, so they drain batteries. So they use EM pumps that, in theory, give the entities something to feed off of. And they do get more responses that way. Kind of off the subject here. I want to know what you guys would like to learn about. Because I can talk all day about what hauntings are and give you a bunch of BS. For those of you that are going to be, that think you might be regulars, what would you like to hear about? I'm unique that I can tell you about almost everything that's out there. So, is there something that you would like to learn about? Quote unquote haunting in particular. We're going to cover the Sally House. We're going to cover Enfield in England.
71.
We'll cover the Conjuring House.
Melbourne Manor.
I don't believe that they hold other dimensions and spirits. I believe that some mirrors, not all mirrors, some mirrors, given the right enhancements, we'll say, can be gateways for cross-dimensional, for lack of a better term, communication. There is a mirror, and I cannot think of the name of it.
With the handprints?
That was actually, at one time, it was in the possession of Zach Bagans. That, as Ginger just said, it had handprints that they couldn't get off, and they had tried cleaning it. They did some kind of a test on it. A scientist did a test on it, and the handprint was in the glass. It was not on the glass. It was in the glass, not on the silver behind, in the glass. And I've never seen it in person, but supposedly you can see people moving that aren't there, like quote unquote shadow figures. Yeah. Another one that if you guys want to see another real haunting, and I won't cover it because he just does such a good job doing it. There is a series on YouTube called The Ghost of Carmel, Maine. To give you kind of a background, gentleman bought this house a number of years ago. It used to be a funeral parlor. He catches shadow figures, voices out of the blue. Unprompted. He's been told, we're going to kill you. And this is stuff that people hear. They're not doing anything. Now, why that would be in a funeral parlor, because the soul, quote unquote, is already gone. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to piece it together. But that is some, quote unquote, pardon my language, freaky shit. I get a lot of questions. Do I believe in the spirit boxes? The things where they scan. Was that place where Zach Baggins went to? Bobby Mackey's. Bobby's Mackey's is a portal in the basement. opened by somebody. My theory is the caretaker opened a portal, either on purpose or by accident. There have been several people leave there with or without provocation and attachment. There was Zach, Aaron. Who was the other one? Anyway, the third guy and Aaron left Bobby Mackey's with an attachment. Nick. And that's why Nick left that show. Zach is an empath. He has honed his skills, but unfortunately, the people that he works with, he puts in danger in some cases. And Bobby Mackey's is just one example. He has several layers of protection upon himself, and Aaron has never done anything to. That being said, a lot of that stuff is overacting. But I've covered that on another mellow. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. That's what I don't know. But I will certainly look it up. There's a young lady that I can't watch. I don't care. I don't mind Zach. Whatever he's got to understand, those of us who are gifted and understand what goes on, that's how they make money. Nobody can go into every place they visit and have paranormal activity. Nobody. I've been in a house here in the town that we live in that everybody that goes in there swears there's paranormal activity. Nothing happens when I go in. Nothing. No voices, no sounds, nothing. And I've been in it several times. People go in right after or right before. Oh, there's stuff flying around. But Zach is there to make money. So yes, they're going to find something in every house. How much of it's real, how much of it is not real, I'm not going to say. I'm sure some of it is. I'm sure a good portion of it is, to be honest. But that's how they pay their bills. And I want everybody to understand that. Nothing against Zach at all. What he's done for the community is just amazing. Ghost hunters, same thing. I'm one of the people that if I'll call BS on things. Because I have that luxury. I'm not doing it to make money. I do this to entertain, to educate. And I have dealt with about everything. And I don't live in a big town or travel the country. I'm going to write that down. Mellow Bird with a 1. Okay. Is that a Ghost Channel organic or what is that? Pardon me. I didn't mean to be gross. I was trying to think of the other one I found. I was talking about the young girl. She catches a lot of stuff. She needs to adjust her camera setting because her voice, oh my God. Dragging nails across a chalkboard. I don't know how to explain it. Is that the one where the washing machine slams and he catches the? Isn't there a video where he hears something go up the stairs and he gets to this on the stairs and he sees something in the doorway and the door slams shut, but he goes in and there's nothing there in the room. I seem to recall one like that. I don't remember what the name of the channel was. Okay. When I get down here, I'll go turn on the channel and take a look at it. But again, if I see something wrong, I'm gonna say it. Just like if I say something wrong, I want you guys to, and you guys know that it's, not the truth or not clear. That does sound familiar, though. There's the guy that has the thing flying him along the ceiling in the basement. That's a neat one. And is it the girl on the floor or on the wall? I can't think of that one either. I watch so much stuff just to kind of see what everybody's doing. On another channel, I kind of explained. I started doing this in high school. There are scammers out there. Oh yeah, absolutely there is. I mean, look how many when Ghost Hunters first came out, Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures first came out. How many quote unquote ghost channels came out? And how many are still around? Well, I suppose it's like anything else. People are going to try and profit off of it, or you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Can you talk for just a minute so I can? I can be thinking about questions or whatever. Mellow, that sounds familiar. Big mellow.
Yeah, it was, when we did it years ago, it was nothing. I mean, we didn't make a penny at it. To help people and didn't make a penny at it. And we didn't find out till these ghost shows start coming out. We're like, people are supposed to charge, We didn't charge it when we did it, We did it for fun. Well, when you're going in to help someone, generally my last thought was making money off of it, But I guess, you got to eat, right?
I still won't charge anybody.
No.
And I know I hear whatever I got.
I also found that new series. Well, it's not a new series, I guess. Is that Cursed or whatever? It's pretty interesting. All about curses and such. Okay, take a vote. Do you guys want to keep going or should we shut her down?
Well, we got 2 people in there.
Right?
Maybe they left. Everything okay?
I'm just in a lot of pain right now. Woke up with the whole right side of my face just swollen. My eye, I had to pull it open. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'll go ahead and call it off. So, thanks y'all for coming to our talk about the Villisca Axe Murder House. We'll plan something for later on in the week. Yeah, maybe next Saturday. Maybe we'll do this every Saturday. We'll come up with a crime and stuff. I want to thank y'all for stopping by and thanking everybody who pops in here. Yeah, that's what it is too, 71. Thank everybody for clicking on. And I'll catch you next week, maybe earlier. Bye-bye.